Hey everyone, this is Keith Baker. I am the host of the Dancing with Cancer podcast, where we talk about how to live an upbeat, joyful life in the middle of the cancer storm. Let's go.
Hey everyone, this is Keith Baker with the Dancing with Cancer podcast, episode 54, Life is Like a Treasure Hunt episode. It's good to be with everyone. We are back home in Cincinnati after being away for 11 days. And today's talk is the concept of what if life is like a treasure hunt. And so we're going to break that down. We're going to look at a couple verses again and hopefully paint a picture for you that helps you see the world through a different lens. That is the goal. We'll see if it happens. Anyways, so glad that you stopped by and hope you get something special out of this talk today. I'm very excited about it. So the concept of our life being a treasure hunt. Let me put it this way. Maybe if you could imagine that 25% of things in your life are going to be bad and there's nothing you can do about it. It just is what it is. And 25% of the things that happen to you in your life is going to be good. And there's nothing you can do about that. Okay? And then there's 50% of the things that's left that could be good or could be bad. And that depends wholly and completely on the choices you make, the actions you take, and the life you live. The question then becomes, what do we have to do to flip those 50% of things that are undecided to the good side? To make good things happen in our lives. You know, I think too often in life, we go through life and we allow things to happen to us as opposed to being proactive and thinking, okay, what do I have to do to make good things happen in my life? Maybe another way to phrase it is, what am I looking for in life? Am I looking for treasures? Am I expecting good things to happen? Or am I expecting bad things to happen? And therefore, am I looking for troubles in my life? Because I do believe we will find what we're looking for. So maybe what I'm saying is, I believe that there are some good things that are going to happen to us, some bad things are going to happen to us. That's life. But there's a lot of things that could happen to us. I believe there are a lot of good things that could happen to us if we're on the hunt for it, if we're looking for it, if we're being proactive and intentional in making choices and decisions that would bring good things to us. And sometimes I believe we walk right past good things in our lives and miss out on opportunities because we're not looking for good things. We're looking for bad things. We're looking for trouble. Because we've accepted certain ideas or concepts and we believe that maybe we have bad luck or that we're just waiting for the next shoe to fall. Therefore, it's blinded us to the good things that could happen. And a lot of times we won't even risk doing things that could bring about the good things because we just can't believe that it would happen for us. And so we don't even go down that path. We don't even attempt certain things because we're afraid that it won't work out correctly. It won't work out right. And so it changes. You know, when you have an upbeat, I can do this mentality, when you're hunting for good things, when you're looking for good things, when you're expecting good things to happen in your life, then I think you will attempt more things. You have more hope of a better tomorrow. And that allows you to see things, potential opportunities that you don't see otherwise. Let's look at Proverbs 13:7. Proverbs 13:7 says, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So the first thought that comes to mind when I read this verse, again, just a reminder, and we've talked about this before in the past, that Proverbs is a very unique book in the Bible. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites because you can gain so much wisdom and find these nuggets of truth by reading one passage, one line, one sentence, as opposed to having to read chapters and understanding all the history and so on and so forth. So I love the little bite-sized words of wisdom that comes from Proverbs. But we need to remind ourselves what Proverbs is and what it isn't. The book of Proverbs is just that, a proverb, a wise saying, a probability, which means that it is not a book of promises or commands or laws. It is Proverbs, wise sayings. So many of the things we read in there, I think, are great boundaries and help us understand how life works. But they are not written guarantees. They are not promises that this will happen this way every single solitary time. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. It helps me a lot when I read verses like, train up a child in the way he should go and he will not stray from it. Well, that's not a promise. It's not written in stone that if you train up a child in a certain way, he's bound by that. He can't walk away from God. Obviously, anybody can walk away from God. But it's a probability. It's a wise saying. It's saying, hey, if you do this, then this is going to happen the large majority of times. Anyways, sorry, I got off on a tangent there. On the book of Proverbs 13:7, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. To me, this places a huge amount of importance on how a man thinks in his heart, right? It's determining who he becomes, according to this passage. So the first thought comes to my mind is that old quote, "Be careful of your thoughts; they may become words at any moment." Right? How often have we said things that we regretted? And, there's things that we think about sometimes, but we never intend to say those things. And I think maybe we need to be aware that maybe we shouldn't spend so much time thinking about those things, because sometimes those things slip out. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in the saying, be careful of your thoughts. They may become words at any moment. But it goes beyond that. It's more than just that. Okay, so our thoughts actually determine our destiny. Do we understand that? Do we really grasp that? Do we see that? Now you'd be saying, wait. You're making a big jump here. Exactly. Break this down for me. How do we get from our thoughts determining our destiny? So here it is. Here's the breakdown, step-by-step process. I'll try to make it as quick and simple as possible. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. So in a very real way, our thoughts determine our destiny. And this is how. This kind of breaks it down step by step to help us understand how just our thoughts actually control our destiny. Again, let me break that down again for you. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. Watch your habits, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Psychologist James Allen put it this way: as the plant springs from and could not be without the seed. As the plant springs from, it comes from, and it could not be without the seed, so every act of a man springs from the hidden seeds of thought, and could not have appeared without them. This applies equally to those acts called spontaneous and unpremeditated as to those which are deliberately executed. As a plant springs from and could not be without the seed. No seed, no plant. No thought, no action. As the plant springs from and could not be without the seed, so every act of a man springs from the hidden seeds of thought. Do you understand what's happening here? Is over and over and over again, we're seeing this pattern where our thoughts may be much more powerful than we realize. And I think too often, most of us, how do I say this, we don't guard our thoughts like I think we should. We entertain a lot of thoughts all over the map and maybe spend too much time entertaining thoughts that we should not. I believe our hearts and our minds are sacred places. And we should be more aware of what we're allowing into those sacred places. Because again, our thoughts will determine who we become, which will determine our destiny. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world." We are to be different than this world. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed, changed by the renewing of your mind. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed, what? By the renewing of your mind. If you will, imagine a butterfly, right? It once was a caterpillar, and it becomes a butterfly. And I fear that many of us in our Christian walk are stuck in caterpillar mode. I believe God wants you to become a butterfly. He wants you to fly. But too often we're locked into caterpillar mode because we won't allow God access to everything. We won't allow God to change the way we think. We're not open to new ideas, new concepts. We're locked in. This is who we are. But life can be better. The future can be better if you allow God to come in and to change your heart and to change the way you see the world, to change the way you think by the renewing of your minds. He can change you, and you can go from being a from being a caterpillar to being a butterfly. This is what I believe God wants for you. Now, keep in mind, since we're on this topic, some of you may or may not have heard the story of the guy that was walking through the woods. He loved nature, and he loved the quietness, and it just seems to allow the dust to settle in his life. That, for things, the craziness that's go away. Anyways, he's walking through the woods, and he notices hanging from one of the trees a little cocoon, but it was moving. He thought, oh, the butterfly must be coming out. So he watched it for a few minutes, and it just seemed like the butterfly was struggling, trying to get out of this cocoon, but the hole was too small. It couldn't get out, and it struggled for a while, and it stopped for a while. And then he started to worry. What if the butterfly doesn't get out? And so he pulls out his pocket knife, he slits the cocoon just a little bit, and he opens it up, and the butterfly falls out. But it falls all the way to the ground, and it doesn't look right. It's misshapen, and it looks very weak. What this man did not know and does not understand is that a butterfly needs to struggle to become fully healthy as a butterfly. In other words, part of that process of going from being a caterpillar to becoming a butterfly and learning to fly is the struggle of getting out of the cocoon. That my understanding is it squeezes its body into a certain shape, and it squeezes fluids into its wings, and it makes the wings stronger, and it builds certain muscles within the butterfly. It's a process that happens. And I can't help but believe that if we commit our lives to God and say, hey, I'm going to do your thing, I'm going to follow it, I'm going to be as you want me to be, that he will use the struggles that we go through in our lives to change us into the person that he wants us to become. In other words, the struggle may be part of the process for us to become who God wants us to become, for us to fully experience God, for us to be able to be the mom and dad we need to be, and to be the husband and wife that we need to be, and even to be the grandparents that we need to be. Maybe the struggle is necessary for that process. I know I've thrown a lot at you, but again, let's take a step back again, and we opened with that idea, that concept. What if our life is like a treasure hunt? Are we willing to allow God to change the way we think so that we can become that person who's on the hunt for good things? Can we become that person that creates good things for ourselves and for others, right? Maybe an example would be from my own life is when Kathy and I were young parents and we first had our children. Again, we were very young in life as well. And I knew myself well enough to know that I was probably going to be a stricter parent than most of Chris and Tiffany's friends. In other words, I just knew because of where our culture was heading and because of my belief system that I was going to require certain things of my children and not allow them to participate in certain things that would be a little bit different and maybe harder for them than some of their friends. Because of that, I was intentional to also spend more time with my children, just playing, just laughing, and engaging in fun activities because I wanted them to have memories of me laughing with them and playing with them to counteract or to balance out those moments when I had to be a disciplinarian or I had to, not allow them to do certain things. I didn't want their whole vision of me and everything they experienced of me to be just no, and just to be a negative thing. And so I intentionally created moments where we would laugh together, we'd have fun together, we'd make memories together. And I'm saying this because it was a part of a plan that I developed in advance. I was being proactive in that specific scenario. And I think in life, there are other things that we have to plan and create opportunities to laugh, plan and create activities to find these treasures, these good times, these events in our lives and the lives of our children and the lives of our grandchildren. As opposed to just stumbling through life and allowing things to happen. And whatever happens, happens. If it's a good thing, it's a good thing. If it's a bad thing, it's a bad thing. Again, I believe, and it's not exact numbers, I just pull numbers out, but I believe that there are 25% approximately of things that are going to happen in your life that's good. There are good things that are going to happen in your life. And there's 25% of things in your life that are going to be bad, and some of them really bad. It just is. We live in a broken world. It's a world stained by sin, and it's no longer as it was originally designed by God. And then I believe there's this middle 50% that might be good and it might be bad, depending on the choices we make and the attitudes that we have, and depending on what we're looking for. So if you imagine a person that is very intentional as a treasure hunter. In other words, he says, hey, I think this would be a fun life to have. I'm going to spend my whole life looking for treasures. Do you think the odds of him finding treasures are greater than the odds of a person who's just going about their lives without any intentional looking for treasures? Again, he might still stumble upon a treasure every now and again, but if he's not hunting for treasures, if he's not intentionally looking for treasures and trying to find those things, the odds are he's not going to find as many treasures as the person who is being intentional and looking for treasures. And I believe it's the same way in our lives as believers. If we develop that positive mindset where we believe that God is in our life, that God wants good things to happen in our lives, that yes, there's going to be some good things and some bad things, but in that middle ground, in that middle territory, there are the potential for more good things if we look for them, if we hunt for them, if we decide we're going to be proactive and even create good things. Then I think the treasures that you find versus the troubles, you will find more treasures if you're looking for treasures, but you will find more troubles if you're looking for troubles. So as you know, I have been diagnosed with myelofibrosis, a rare bone marrow cancer. And initially when this happened a year and a half ago, I was told I have 3 to 6 years to live. God can do anything he wants to do, and I am praying. I know many of you are praying for healing. And it could be anything between that. That's just the average 3 to 6 years. I mean, a year and a half ended at 3 to 6 years. So the choice I have in my situation is, what do I want the last 3 to 6 years of my life to be like? Do I want people who are watching me, or even my own self? If I have 3 years left to live, I want to get the most out of every single individual day that I can. I want to laugh as much as I can possibly laugh. I want to make memories with those who I care about the most. You know, I have 2 grandsons, 9 and 12 years old, 13 years old. They grow up fast. What do I want them to remember about Keith Baker? I want them to remember Keith Baker as a person who was intentionally loving and caring and laughing and having fun. I want them to have positive memories of my last 3 to 6 years. I want them to see that I went hunting for treasures. I went hunting for good times. I created opportunities to laugh and to have fun and to get the most out of life, in spite of what the disease that I have. That yes, there's going to be bad days, and yes, it's a horrible disease, and yes, there's nothing I can do necessarily to change that. I mean, yes, I take my medications. You know, I'm exercising. I'm trying to eat a little better. I struggle with that. I'm doing what I know to do. But even within that context, I have to choose to take the path that gives me the most positive results. That's what I'm choosing for my life. And that's the challenge I'm putting out for you to recognize, yes, there's going to be bad days, and yes, there's going to be bad things, and yes, stuff doesn't always go according to plan. But there are opportunities out there to laugh, to smile, to find hidden treasures in the day-to-day lives. And that's my challenge to you. And hopefully the message of this week is to go find those hidden treasures and share them with your family and friends. Find the treasures, but share the treasures with those around you. And I think if you do that, they will see Jesus in you. in a way that's extremely contagious. Love you guys. Hope you have a fantastic week. Thanks so much for stopping by. Please hit the like, the subscribe, and ring the bell. And we will see you again next Monday. Adios.